What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, guardians of all ages? Joker back again once again, and in my last Destiny video, or one of my last Destiny videos, I dared to ask the question, does Bungie think we are too stupid to play our subclasses? I propose the preposterous idea that Bungie, of all people, may think that we are too incompetent to understand the complexities of skill trees that, nay, the casual audience, which they are so desperate to grasp, the same audience that will be gone the moment there is a content drought, or better yet, the same audience that will be gone before the credits even roll. Because something new and shinier has come out. I, your humble host, the wickedest of all jokers in the land, decided to propose heresy, to question the decisions of Bungie, nay, to question the decisions of the God Emperors themselves. For who dares questioneth the gods of this world and their choices? Who dareth imply that they think we are too stupid to understand the complexities of skill trees and mathematics and any of this other nonsense that they would throw into Destiny to make it a more complete and complex RPG experience? Nay, how dare I imply that the casual audience may not be the one that they want to cater to, may not be the one that decides to stick around when we have a year-long drought of content like we did between Taken King and Rise of Iron. Nay, how dare I? How dare I? How dare I? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Over dramatic theatrics aside, I figured we're going to go ahead and take a look at how exotics could help fix the seemingly binary choices that Destiny 2 will be implementing with its class system. But before we get started, I wanted to go ahead and take a look at the Striker Titan passive trees for Destiny 2. So you guys can see what I mean when I say these things are barren as fuck. There's not even really a choice to be made here because one skill tree is obviously way better than the other one. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So for the sake of argument, we're going to call this quadrant of perks passive skill tree 1 and this quadrant of perks passive skill tree 2. Get it, got it, good, moving forward. So passive skill tree 1 just kind of seems to enhance the way that the Titan will normally play and kind of gives an edge to some of its abilities, but doesn't really do anything outside the pale in order to just kind of go, yes, you should pick this tree over passive skill tree 2. So let's go ahead and go over the perks. So the first perk in passive skill tree 1 is Aftermath. Now this is a perk that already exists in the game. It's the one that leaves the little field behind after a Fist of Havoc, and that's kind of what it does here. That's exactly what it does here. But they've added a disorienting field where if you go into it, you actually are now blinded. So it's like when you go into a bubble, now you'll be blinded when you go into this field if you survive the Fist of Havoc. The second one is Magnitude. Now, again, this is already a perk that's kind of in the game already. Magnitude increases the duration of pulse grenades, lightning grenades, and Aftermath. Then we have Aerial Strike. Fist of Havoc deals more damage the longer it's in the air. This is completely new to the subclass, and I am actually kind of interested to see how that plays, but you'll see why it's not that great later on. And then to round out the perk tree, we have Shoulder Charge. Shoulder Charge seems to work exactly the way it does in Destiny 1. We don't know if it'll be a one-hit kill still, because it looks like melees have been nerfed to the point where they're like 2, 3, maybe 4 hits sometimes. I don't know. Depends on the armor, depends on the build. But that's what it looked like from some of the videos, so melee combat may not be the most viable. So that's what we're dealing with. So, moving to passive skill tree 2, you have Frontal Assault, a powerful melee punch that grants you increased weapon stability. Reversal. Melee kills immediately trigger health regeneration. Well, we've already got that in the game. That's transfusion. Then you have knockout. Breaking enemy shields increases your melee range. So I guess we're not going to have T-Rex arms on Titans anymore. And then you have the only perk that matters in both skill trees. No, seriously, this is the only perk that matters. This will be the one that decides whether you play passive skill tree 1 or passive skill tree 2. Trample. Fist of Havoc lasts longer while sprinting. Killing enemies with Fist of Havoc extends its duration. For those of you keeping score, that means you can do this.
Enemy charge set. Defuse it now.
So not only are these trees not optimized at all, but there is a clear winner. Now, both trees have this all-around enhancement of player ability, but it seems to be fairly benign. Anyone who spends any time playing a Striker Titan knows things like Aftermath and Magnitude have their moments of cool, but they're not game changers. They're not lifesavers like what Reversal, what we now call Transfusion, will be. Aerial Strike, well, we'll need to see how that works out, but I'm going to just throw this out here. It needs a built-in Death from Above and probably Headstrong for it to even compete with Trample. I mean, Trample, after all, can do this.
Enemy charge set. Defuse it now.
And, you know, again, yes, the other tree has shoulder charge, but if it's not a one-hit kill, rip. RIP anything and everything that Skill Tree 1 had going for it. So, Passive Skill Tree 2 is just objectively better than Passive Skill Tree 1. There's no arguing this. Like, that is case closed. Look at the perks. Look at the way that they're used. Case closed. Passive Skill Tree 2, way better than Passive Skill Tree 1. Anybody who's denying this is an abject denier of reality. The damage boost multiplier would have to be game-breakingly absurd to compete with 6+ Fists of Havoc. And mind you, the amount of damage doesn't matter when you go into PvP because you have 6 Fists of Havoc. With that said, never let it be said that the glorious God Emperor Joker was the type to criticize something without offering a solution. So, this system, this meandering bastardization of what should have happened is what we have. This is the system we got, these are the classes that will ship, and this is what life has given us, for better or for worse. So how can Bungie simultaneously dumb down the game in the search of the ever-elusive casual audience, and add a level of complexity that veterans of the game like myself want? The answer? Exotic armor. So I've made a few mock-ups using pre-existing exotics from Destiny 1. We'll call these 2.0 versions. The first one that we're going to go ahead and look at really illustrates my point. It's the Helm of Saint 14. Now, we don't know much about the Sentinel, but it appears to anyone watching that the Sentinel has abandoned the bubble for a shield. Now, the shield is thrown, and it does all these little cool bouncy things, and it does look like the shield will have some kind of sword-style block. But that really doesn't seem to be team-based, and you really don't have the same unity that the Defender Titan was capable of. That's where the Helm of Saint 14 comes in. So the exotic perk would be called Back to Basics. When worn, the Helm of Saint 14 would replace the Sentinel class with the Defender class. Just like we see with the new classes, this one would also branch off into 2 perk sets. One would be Order of the Defender, and the other would be Order of the Attacker. Order of the Defender would have the perks Starless Night, Your Ward of Dawn blinds enemies who enter it, Blessing of Light. Passing through the Ward of Dawn grants you and your allies temporary overshield. Gift of the Void. As Ward of Dawn takes damage from enemy fire, it creates additional orbs of light. And Untouchable. Reduces the cooldown time of Ward of Dawn. Then you would have Order of the Attacker, which would improve melee, kills with melee, trigger health regeneration, also respawn with full melee energy, and gain an additional melee charge. Then you'd get Force Multiplier. Shotgun kills trigger Force Barrier, and Force Barrier's duration is increased. Bathed in Light. Weapons of Light last longer. And then you'd get Weapons of Light. Passing through the Ward of Dawn grants you and your allies a temporary increase to weapon damage. Now, before somebody goes on full screech in the comments, I realize that these are not balanced, these are not optimized. This is merely an illustration of what could be done to add variety to the game. Another interesting exotic idea, I'm just going to throw this out here, just bring back Helm of Inmost Light. Now, I'm not partial to the Helm of Inmost Light whatsoever, so don't think of that. I'm just saying, Helm of Inmost Light will fix nearly every problem that Striker Titan passive skill tree 1 has. Just saying, because then you get your Death from Above, and you get your Headstrong, and they can add something else to it too to kind of make it a little more viable. But I'm just saying, bring back Helm of Inmost Light, just saying. Then we can move on to Warlocks. For you Warlocks who are missing your Radiance, just make an exotic that replaces Dawnblade with Self-Revive. And it can give you, like, I don't know, 2 grenades, Angel of Light, Viking Funeral, Scorch Melee, whatever, you know, just the basics. Just the basics, you know, there you have it. You're good, you're gone, you can go do what you want. Have fun. Now, if we want to get more interesting, we can create exotics that do things like grant Shoulder Charge for free. However, Shoulder Charge does absolutely no damage. But it can be granted to tree 1 or 2. You get it for free, and it does no damage. But if you're using Increased Control as your primary mode of jump, you also get Titan Skating, because Titan Skating has been removed from Destiny 2. So now we have an exotic that goes, hey, we'll give you Shoulder Charge. We'll give you everything you need to move in Destiny 2. If you're a Titan in Destiny 1 and you like the way you move now, you can do that in Destiny 2. However, Shoulder Charge does 0 damage, and it's going to require your exotic slot. I think that's a fair trade. Now, these are just the ideas off the top of my head on how Bungie could add a little bit of complexity to Destiny 2 without making it too overcomplex for those elusive casuals. But that's it from me, guys. Let me know your ideas for exotic armor that fall along this line in the comments below. And like always, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, stay frosty.